got an eyelash right there. Let me get that for you.
Thank you.
Boop. Yeah, these forearms weigh 30 pounds each, bro. What's up, fish fans? This is Marcus, and I'm Rhen, and you're watching Marketing Madness, the Bluefish weekly vlog. Each week, each episode, our aim is to bring you guys pure marketing value. During our day-to-day at Bluefish, we find that clients have questions or don't understand certain things in the marketing and advertising space. So we do our best to address those right here every week.
So this week we're going to talk about Rhen's favorite topic, sales. Sales is a lifeline of every organization. It's the pulse, the gas pedal, it's what propels growth, and without sales, you're stagnant. When cash is king, and without it, companies cannot afford to operate.
Large or small, someone in your company is in charge of cultivating relationships and closing deals. For the small business owner, this often means you are doing all the work. In larger corporations, there are entire sales divisions in charge of collecting, prospecting, and closing deals. Over the years, this has become my favorite part of business. I have intensely studied sales, consumers, salespeople, and what makes a person say yes or no. At Bluefish, if I cannot keep my pipeline full and hit my quota each month, we can't make payroll. No payroll equals no Bluefish. That just leaves Marcus, right?
Before you get started in selling anything, you need to understand the mission of your company. Without a fundamental understanding of what your company is set out to do, you'll have no direction. And once your mission is established, you'll be able to better understand who your ideal customer is, what pain points exist for them, and what solutions you can provide to help. The more specific you can be, the more you can dial in your efforts.
Now let's look at the different stages of the sales cycle, all which are equally important. Prospecting, setting the appointment, qualifying the prospect, making the presentation, handling objections, the follow-up, closing the sale, and finally, asking for referrals.
Prospecting is the beginning of the cycle. This is the act of identifying consumers or businesses that could benefit from your product or service. There are many tactics for prospecting, some better than others. For each industry, they will be a little bit different. We like to leverage networking events, social media, chamber of commerce, other local events, industry-specific organizations, and leveraging your own network. This is often the most underutilized aspect of prospecting.
The next step, once you have identified the prospect, is to set up the appointment. Let's face it, no one likes a high-pressure sales situation. So personally, I play the long game if in prospecting mode. I try to build relationships with potential prospects and let the transaction occur in a more organic fashion. This is a really great tactic for certain situations, usually outbound prospecting rather than inbound requests, which I feel requires a different method. People like to buy, but no one wants to be sold to. When you are out on an appointment, be sure to ask the correct questions. Do some background research on the prospect, understand them, the company, and their needs. Listen to what they have to say and understand the pain points they're experiencing. Next, you're gonna wanna help them understand that there is a solution for those problems. Finally, you have to show how your services or products are the solutions they need. In many cases, if you spend time and listen to the prospect's problem, they will all but print out the contract for you. Taking this route does two things. Number one, it's gonna help the prospect get a solution to the problem that they have. And number two, it's gonna solidify you and build a trusting relationship. You're gonna have far more success dealing with people that trust you than those that don't.
A crucial element to the sales cycle is being able to qualify a prospect quickly. There are many factors at play here. Is your prospect the decision maker? Do they have a need? And most important, do they have a budget? Understanding who they are and knowing the correct questions to ask will help you quickly qualify your prospects. Some business owners simply will not be able to engage with your services or product. We highly recommend understanding what type of business you can help. And the quicker you can either qualify or disqualify a prospect, the better the experience for both parties. Now, budget is a big factor in determining whether or not a prospect qualifies or not. However, you cannot just come out and say how much money you got, or sorry, but you don't look like you can afford us. Sometimes your prospect may try to disqualify themselves before understanding the real value. It takes a little education from you as a salesperson to show the cost versus price factor in your service or product. Now, you may have to ask them some questions and get comfortable with asking them things like revenue or cost per sale and things like that. Now, taking the time to educate them can help move that, no, this price is way out of my budget, to, well, now I see the value.
Next is the presentation. This is where your professionalism and product knowledge will give you the chance to outshine the competition. Take this opportunity to highlight all the features that make your product or service better than the next, highlighting anything that speaks directly to the pain points for your prospect. If you're selling a product or service that's above market prices, your prospect may be puzzled, have objections, are not able to justify the expense over a cheaper option. If you're going to go down that route, you will need to be able to explain cost versus price. This is not a problem. It's certainly an opportunity.
Which brings us to our next step, handling objections. Now, handling objections is often the least favorite part of this process for most salespeople. This is where we actually get excited. 99% of the time what you're hearing is not actually an objection at all, but more or less an observation. You may hear, well, that is expensive for whatever product or service you're offering. In which you'd reply, it is definitely more than this other service, and here's why. Having the correct perspective here is imperative. It allows you to maintain a positive attitude and address these objections with a confident and informative manner. Don't ever take offense to objections. Instead, politely answer any questions the person might have. If it helps inform them, then you're helping them make an educated decision. This is where taking the time to really know your product or service will set you above the rest. Being sympathetic to your prospect's objections will help strengthen the relationship and increase momentum towards winning the sale.
Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. This is where 80% of sales are won or lost. Did you know that 60+% of all sales are made on the 7th follow-up? Yes, the 7th. I track all of my client touches after the proposal goes out. More than 50% of all my sales come after the 8th time calling, emailing, or texting. Yet majority of the sales force never make the 2nd follow-up. You probably think I'm joking, and I'm not. People are busy, and if you're selling something, most of the time you will get, I need to think about it. I need to speak with my spouse. Next week will be better for us. Most of the time, this isn't a tactic to get you out of their office. There's a process that you can uncover if they are trying to push you off. And there are also processes to follow up and increase the likelihood of closing that sale. You should create a systematic approach to your follow-ups. Work from a CRM, which is a client relationship manager, and set tasks for follow-ups. This is where the separation from the pros to the novice comes in. Follow-up.
Next up, the close. Now, despite what the name implies, this step can happen before or after
follow-up.
It just has to happen. Most sales are lost because the sale is never explicitly requested. I mean, can you imagine going into a steakhouse, the waiter approaching, discussing the menu, telling you about appetizers, and then never asking you to place the order? This is a real issue, and I cannot tell you how many times I've been shopping for something and was never asked to buy. And frankly, I love to buy. You cannot collect the check if you don't receive it, and you won't receive it if you don't ask for it. Now, people rarely pull out thousands of dollars and hand it over without being prompted, so make the ask. And if they don't buy, make the proper follow-ups.
If you have done your job well, this next part is going to be a breeze. Ask for the referral. This should come at the end of every sales process. There is no better place to find your next prospect than from that of a happy customer. Referrals often come when you have served your client and proved to be a knowledgeable professional that acted with integrity and courtesy. Just like the close, if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. All right, that's a wrap for this week, Fish fans. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions or comments, please hit us up below in the comments or shoot us a direct message anytime.
If you're on Facebook, give us a like and a share. Tag someone that could benefit from this content. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to stay up to date on the latest and greatest from your pals at Bluefish.